Hey everybody, welcome back to One Seed, One World. Wanted to give you a little update on what's been going on with my indoor winter gardening experiments. If you didn't see my previous video, where I first started doing some of this, besides just starting seeds indoors like I do every year to get them ready for the garden, this year I also wanted to try to grow some things inside just to see if I could grow them all the way and get fruit inside with only artificial light down here in my basement. So the first thing I wanted to show you was the tomato plants. I know the lighting isn't really good here, and I'll see if I can get some better shots so you can see them as well, but the tomato plants are doing pretty well. They're getting pretty big. This one's kind of fallen over, and I'm gonna have to stake them here and probably change them a little bit, because what I'm finding is that some of my leaves are getting burned from this light being so close, and these greenhouses are not really made to grow something as big as an indeterminate tomato plant to fruition. You know, they're for starting seeds or for maybe some little plants. So it's kind of tight quarters in here, and so I need to try and get them so that they can have some more room but still get enough light. So I might have to adjust a few things, change some things around, we'll see. But I've got a lot of little blossoms on them, and so now I'm just waiting to see if these blossoms are going to become fruit. You know, once you plant your seeds and they germinate and grow into a plant and start putting off blossoms, once the blossoms appear, it can take, you know, a week or two before pollination occurs. Now, tomatoes are self-pollinating, really. They don't have to have pollinators to get fruit, but they sometimes need a little help from some wind or from just some shaking, because each plant or each blossom has both the male and female parts needed, and it just has to transfer the pollen from the male part down to the female part so that it can be pollinated and start giving you some maters. So, you know, I come down here and I'll shake them a little bit. This one, the blossoms haven't opened yet. I got some coming in on this one, but this one's had blossoms now for at least a week. And I was trying to tell, because basically the way that you can tell that your tomato's been pollinated is with the blossom. What will happen is the green stem behind the blossom will start to swell a little bit, and the flower itself will kind of dry up and fall off. But, you know, as it does that, you should see a swelling behind the blossom that then, you know, turns into your tomato. And also sometimes you can tell where on the inside, sometimes it will turn a little dark before the flower starts to die and drop off. Now, the other thing is too, is that if the blossoms don't get pollinated, they will also die and drop off. So the main thing that you're looking for is to see if you have like a little swelling behind your blossoms where maybe a tomato is starting to form. And so far, I'm not seeing much of anything on these, so I don't know what's really going on. I mean, they also need, or I mean, these they might just not be ready yet, but they also need, you know, proper nutrients and proper light and temperature so the tomato plant knows that it is in a good environment to actually start producing fruit, because they want to perpetuate themselves. So if they're not feeling like they're getting enough nutrients, enough water, enough light, you know, then they know it's maybe not a good environment to try to put their energy into making a tomato. So that was one of my things with growing them inside. I wanted to see if the artificial light would allow me to do that. And then also, you know, I've got them moved into some big buckets with some good soil, and then I'll be using some liquid seaweed and fish fertilizer on them probably every other week or so. I don't think I need to do that yet because there's still plenty of good, healthy soil in there. So that's it with the tomatoes. I'm getting a lot of little suckers on them, so I'm trying to keep the suckers under control, keep them pruned back, and I'll probably even prune them even more as time goes on, depending on how the plant does. My other experiments: radishes, and turnips. what I've found with these is that I don't think that they did so well for forming radishes and turnips. I think that the lighting down here was probably not the best. I was trying to grow like 1 or 2 radishes per little pot and 1 or 2 turnips per little pot to see how that went. I got a lot of good greens. In fact, they've gotten so big they're growing up through the lights, but a lot of them are getting burned from the light because they grow right up into it, and these are also definitely need watered. But this is what I got going on so far, putting off a lot of good greens, but not forming really good bulbs. I do have some little ones in here, but I think they're looking kind of weak, and I'll show you those here in a second. And that was with the turnips. The radishes don't seem to be forming any bulbs at all. Just green. Well, wait a minute. What have we here? Huh, I got a little tiny radish in there. And then these are my radishes, which are mostly greens as well. They did not do so well with the bulb formation either, although I did just find in here that I do have one little radish forming in here so far, and maybe there's some others in here, but as I follow the stem down, it looks to be just more of a red stem or red root than it is actually forming, you know, a radish bulb that I could eat. However, you can eat radish greens. You can add them to salads. They actually give a nice little radish flavored kick to your salads if you add it in. Same thing with the turnip greens. Even if they don't, you know, form bulbs, I can still eat the greens, or, you know, add them to the chicken's side snack food. Now check this out. These, get them up on there. These are my potato plants. These are the ones that I started from actual true potato seed that I harvested out of the garden last year. I gave a bunch of them away because I planted way too many. A friend of mine said that he would take some and see what he could do with them. And then I think it was last weekend, I went in and I transplanted a bunch more of them. I still didn't keep all the ones I had because I wasn't sure what was going to happen. But since I've transplanted them, they've grown even more. And when I was transplanting them, I found some like little teeny potatoes on them. I mean, like the initial tubers. They looked like little teeny pebbles really, but they were starting to form. So that was a good sign. And so that was mainly my basic tests that I was doing down here. I mean, I got a couple of pepper plants that are way behind, and at this point, those are probably just gonna end up getting transplanted out in the garden as time comes, because they've been really slow growing and took me forever to get them germinated. And then I've got, let's see. Do have 2 of these nice little cilantro going on here, and I think these were like a different variety, like lime. What do you think? No, that's just regular cilantro. Oh, it was the basil. The basil. So this is a lime basil plant. This one took a long time to get started too. Now it is starting to kind of pick up in some speed, but it's not filling out very well. And I might need to transplant this maybe again into like a little bit bigger pot and maybe set it in a better area. It's kind of crowded in this greenhouse with some leftover, couple of leftover potato plants that are going a little crazy, and then my cilantro. So maybe its companions aren't helping out too much, so I might need to give it a little bit more room. And then I've also started my onions and leeks. I did red onion, white onion, like a sweet white onion or sweet yellow onion actually. Forget the variety. Oh, here we go. Same ones I planted last year. Globo. But the yellow ones have not sprouted at all yet. However, all of my red have come up pretty much. Almost every cell looks like. There's a couple that are empty, but almost every cell that I've planted has now sprouted. They sprouted in like 4 days. But nothing on the leeks and the yellow sweet onions yet. So I'll have to see what happens with those, and I think I might need to add a little bit more water to both of those too. So that's kind of where it's been going so far. You know, I don't have any produce yet other than the cilantro, but I think potentially I am going to have some tomatoes. Maybe we'll see what happens with these blossoms, and I'll keep you updated on that. So now I'm in a mix of doing this indoor gardening test. I mean, I use the term gardening loosely because I don't have a whole lot going on in here. It's not like I have a big, full, beautiful garden going on in the basement, but some tests going on. And now I've also started stuff for the 2023 outdoor garden with the onions getting started. And then today I'm going to be, I also have a few cotton seeds in from the seeds that I harvested off of our cotton plants last year that we got all that cotton from. So I'm going to start 6 more plants, or I have 6 more plants I'm waiting on for those. And then today I'm going to be planting some purple cauliflower and maybe some cabbage, because it's that time of year to start getting those ready, because those will get transplanted outside much earlier than some of the other things like tomatoes and peppers. So just wanted to give you guys that update for anybody that was interested. If you're doing any indoor growing tests, let me know, put them in the comments below, and let me know how yours are going and what kind of successes or maybe not so successful but learning experiences that you've had. And whatever's going on in your neck of the woods, I hope it's working out fantastic for you and that you are having a great day. Thanks for hanging out with me again, and we will see you again soon. Namaste.